I found out why she comes home late from work and it's horrible. Part 4. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. Nevertheless, I still wanted to die. I leave the apartment and start walking down the street just crying my eyes out. I sit down at a bus stop bench and I pull out the knife, then I begin reducing at my wrists. I was prepared to end my life. For like 10 minutes I cut at my wrists attempting to let the blood to stream harder. Then a police car pulls up, and 2 cops get out. One of them says, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I comfortably inform him I'm done. He radios in even more cops, and before I understand it, there was 15 or 20 of them surrounding me. They spend about 20 minutes trying to get me to place the knife down. I was bleeding all over by then. The cop strolls closer to me and asks me to hand him the knife. I look at the knife for a few seconds. But he hadn't convinced me off the cliff. Nothing at this moment could. I also knew I couldn't get out of this situation without being thrown right into a psych ward. I raise the knife over my head and lunge at the officer. Before I could even take 2 steps, I'm on the ground being tasered and they're piling on top of me, putting handcuffs on me. I had made one major miscalculation. I thought if I made a move towards the officer they would certainly for certain shoot me dead. Yet I forgot I was white, so regrettably I was just tasered. The next thing I remember is I was riding in the rear of the cruiser, and also they take me to the hospital facility where they sedated me and patched me up. They gave me some sedatives that entirely knocked me out. Then I remember waking up in what I later on discover is a psych ward for the criminally crazy. It's like jail or prison, yet even worse. You have no conception of what day or time it is, and you get no interaction with the outdoors, or at least we didn't at this one. I'm not going to go into detail about what I experienced there. It was one of the darkest places I had ever seen in my life. I was in there for about 6 weeks before an attorney was able to get me off on a technicality. When I was released I took a taxi home. It was about 3 hours away. When I got home I had the taxi driver drop me off at a McDonald's near my apartment. I sit down and charge my phone. I didn't want to go back to that apartment. Not after what I saw there. I have text/calls/voicemails from many people including Kate. I also obviously was let go from work. My credit cards were all maxed out. Kate clearly had been using them because she had a card for all my accounts. I called Kate and she was ecstatic to hear from me. She had been so worried and had no idea what happened to me. I told her I would explain everything, but I needed her to meet me at the McDonald's and not to bring her son with her. She was confused at first but agreed she would meet me after she dropped her son off at daycare. Kate later walks into the McDonald's and rushes to try and hug and kiss me, but I brush her off and tell her to sit down. This threw her off a bit, but she sat down and I told her what happened. Everything I saw before I was thrown into the ward. What she responded with shocked me. Kate had the audacity to try and deny everything. She said I must have looked into the wrong apartment and saw someone else. I shook my head in disbelief and I cut her off mid-sentence. I told her she needs to tell me the truth right now, and if she tries to lie to me again I will get up and walk out of this McDonald's and she and her son will never see me again. I looked at her sternly in the eyes and she could see I meant every word I said. I asked her one more time, "Have you been cheating on me?" She looks down at her lap and begins to cry. She mutters, "Yay, I have." She proceeds to admit that her drug problem had gone from coke to meth, and she was also doubling down with Xanax every night. That's why the guy was driving our car, because she was too intoxicated to drive. I stare at her for about a minute, and before I let out a big sigh, I pull my phone out of the charger and stand up. She looks up and asks, "Where are you going?" I look her dead in the eyes and say I'm going to go do drugs. It's all I can think to do right now. As I pick up my backpack, she asks me if we are still together. I told her no, I didn't mean I was going to stay if you told me the truth, I was going to leave either way. I just wanted to hear you admit it before I left. The events after. For the next few months, I pretty much lived on the road, basically homeless. I would hop from town to town, mostly selling drugs at strip clubs, and crashing where I could. Sometimes I slept in motels, sometimes I slept outside. I was doing a lot of my own product. I lost almost 65 pounds in these few months because sometimes I would go days without eating or sleeping. One day I woke up in a hospital. I had been having seizures, and my internal organs had begun failing. I was severely malnourished. I'm 6 feet 5 inches and I was weighing in at 155 pounds soaking wet after a big meal. Multiple doctors and therapists came in to see me every day trying to figure out what was going on with me. I spent about a month in the hospital recovering before I was discharged. The doctors recommended I seek a sobriety program. They concluded that I had no mental disorders other than PTSD and mostly just had a polysubstance addiction problem. When I was discharged from the hospital, I stayed at a halfway house shelter for almost 4 months. I found a sober program and began going to meetings and never touched a drug again since I was released from the hospital. I got a new phone and number. Almost no one from my life prior to my stay in the hospital had any contact with me anymore. While I was in the halfway house, I started working out to try and regain some size. I looked like a beanpole. When I was released from the halfway house, I got a job at a nearby gym as a personal trainer. A brand new career path for me, but the gym had become my new safe space where I felt okay. Fast forward 5 years to today. I am still sober to this day. I'm weighing in at a healthy and lean 265 pounds. I have been happily married for 2 years. I run my own lucrative business. The day I left the hospital, I thought long and hard about what I was going to do with my life. My instinct was to retreat into darkness. I still wanted to get back at Kate for what she did, just like I did with Lisa in college. After a few long periods of thought over the course of a few weeks, I decided the best revenge would be to live the best life I could. And most importantly, I decided to stop feeling sorry for myself for the things I went through. This changed the game for me. I stopped blaming others or the world for the things that happened to me. Looking back at this today 5 years later and where my life has led me, I am so happy I made the decision to try a different course of action. I don't even recognize myself anymore. When I wrote these stories about Lisa and Kate, I didn't even see me. I see some other messed up kid. I turned 30 this weekend. I got sober a month before my birthday 5 years ago. If you would have told me back then that I would be where I am now, I would never believe you. I am so happy I didn't take my own life, or even worse, take Kate's life that day. I am so glad I decided to get up and keep trying at life. I had to fall a few times, but when I finally got up, I flew. I spoke with Kate only once years after I left the McDonald's the day she admitted to cheating on me. And after speaking with her, I gotta say, it's true what they say. The best revenge is living a good life. Update end. Here are some of the best comments from our community. What an inspirational story. This is the first time I've ever commented on anything on Reddit, and it's because I could feel the pain that you went through and also know what it's like to be that suicidal. It takes the strongest person to come back from what you did and rebuild your life in a healthy way. You saved yourself even when you felt like you weren't worth saving. Hats off to you for not settling for an extremely toxic situation. I read it from start to end and bawled my eyes out. I felt your emotional pain from all of the hurt and trauma others had inflicted on you. I'll give you an award if I can for being able to stand up even after a shitty event life had thrown at you. I wish I was as strong as you are. I'm happy for what you have accomplished and for being strong. Keep fighting on. I wish you all the best. Glad you made it at the end and didn't do anything stupid to lose your future for. I read your story and I felt very sorry that you didn't have anyone to help you like a family or close friends. Just try to stay happy and live your life, anyway it's short. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.